So thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for being here. So I'm going to talk about the NZNext 2.0 and the power of fully connected continuous manufacturing FCCM, which drives down the manufacturing cost to $40 per gram. So before I start with the talk, who we are, NZ is an innovation-driven technology led differentiated biotech company. We offer integrated CDMO services. We have 3 units in Pune, India, and we have a unit coming up in New Jersey, Hopewell, New Jersey. We want to positively impact healthcare around the world. We have already launched 7 biosimilars in India, and 2 are already filed in regulated market. So what I'm going to talk about today is the high cost of manufacturing, which limits the access to patients, innovation in biologic manufacturing, technology enablers, the science behind the innovation, and then technology in action. So what leads to the high cost of manufacturing, which limits the access? So we already know that the manufacturing costs are high when you are talking about a fed batch process. And just to put things in perspective, the cost of gold per gram is $110. And when you talk about life-saving medicines, the cost of MABs per gram ranges anywhere between $180 to $500. And this limits the access. So when you're talking about average annual income in India, more than 50-60% of the population makes less than $18,000 per year. And when you talk about the average cost of cancer therapy, it is around $10,000. So even if the therapy and the treatment is present, it is not accessible to the patients. So when you look at the profitability with respect to sales graph, you can appreciate that biotech products, which are low volume products, the major contribution to the cost of manufacturing comes from fixed costs, right? For the large volume products, the variable cost is the major contributing factor. So fixed costs for biotech products come from utilities, maintenance, salary, amortization, and depreciation, which can contribute up to 50 or 60% of the fixed costs. So anybody who has worked in a fed batch plant or has seen it knows that these plants are very clunky and they occupy large facility footprint. And this is largely because of the huge bioreactor sizes, their seed trains, but most importantly, it is because of the standalone unit operations in downstream and which require large whole tanks. So in this normal cartoon for the fed batch plant, everything that is in the rectangle, red rectangle, are whole tank, right? Which requires huge capex, huge operational costs, and then real estate. So this is a picture of fed batch plant, and you can appreciate the complexity of it, the sheer size of the suite, miles and miles of stainless steel piping, which requires high capex and operating costs because of the cleaning and sanitization. So what did we do? In 2015, when we started, we had a blank slate, right? So what I mean by that, it was a greenfield opportunity for us in India. We did not have a R&D unit. We did not have a manufacturing unit, and we already knew that the costs are high. Affordability becomes a problem for an average patient, right? So the question that we asked when we started the company was that not whether we want to go with fed batch or continuous manufacturing, but it was more to do with how do we democratize the access for life-saving medicines for patients in India. So the learnings from fed batch process was that we wanted to reduce the capital investment, so reduce the equipment size, footprint, try to get rid of the whole tanks, which are adding to the real estate as well as capex, and reduce the footprint so that it lowers the real estate investment. So in 2015, people were already discussing continuous manufacturing, right? However, what we observed was that most of the processes were hybrid. So essentially what was happening is that you would have a perfusion bioreactor, which works in a continuous manner, and then standalone unit operations or batch downstream, right? This does not help with the reduction of whole tanks or reducing the footprint. Another model was that you would have a normal fed batch process with huge bioreactors, but with a connected downstream, right? But then again, you need a big capital investment for the large bioreactors. And then the third one that is also being worked on now is that you have a perfusion bioreactor along with the capture step, right? That is connected, and rest of the downstream processes standalone unit operations. So what we thought was, how about we develop a process that is connected, truly connected, from upstream all the way down till Chrome 3, right? So downstream process. And this was the first drawing that we came up with. So essentially you have bioreactor that works in a perfusion process connected with alternate tangential flow. So this is a cell separator. And then it is connected without any whole tanks to protein A, which is a capture step, low pH inactivation, Chrome 2, Chrome 3 in tandem mode, and then there is a whole tank. So instead of having whole tanks after every single unit operation, there is just one whole tank at the end of DSB. So or the purification process. And then we would have nanofiltration and UFDF step in a standalone unit operation. And this is the process that is now commercially validated in India. So we have a perfusion bioreactor connected with the ATF, protein A as a capture step, viral inactivation, Chrome 2, Chrome 3 in tandem mode, and then whole tank. So everything in the dotted arrow is truly connected. And then, like I said, nanofiltration and UFDF, those happen in the standalone unit operations. The beauty of this process is that it is extremely modular and agile. So if you wanted to disconnect DSP step, you could. If you wanted to just do bioreactor connection with the protein A, that can be done. Whole tanks can be added if your product requires it. So what are the key advantages of this FCCM process? So essentially for upstream, because it's a perfusion process, you have much higher cell densities and cell viabilities. You have higher productivity per liter of media from small bioreactors, and better quality of expressed product due to short residence time and high cell viability. In terms of DSP, you have better capacity utilization for the capture Chrome step. Protein A resin is extremely expensive and you want to maximize the usage, minimize the inventory. That can be done with this process. You get better product quality because you don't have any hold times in the early stage of the process. And then you get better resin cycle utilization in each batch. Another unique thing for this FCCM process is that it works for MABs as well as non-MABs, and I will give you just a couple of examples. This is an example of a multi-specific protein. It's a non-MAB novel molecule, and this is the problem that it presented in a fed batch. So you can see that the viability started to go down after day 8, and this was the purified protein. That's the full-length protein. And we essentially got 3 grams of protein, full-length protein, with lot of degradation from a 50-liter fed batch. So we converted this process into perfusion FCCM, and the VCCs went up from 12 million to 65 million. The viability was maintained till day 15. This was a low-dose product, so we did not have to extend the duration for more than 15 days. So it is a like-to-like comparison with a fed batch. And this is the protein quality that we got, single band with a silver stain. Within 15 days in a 20-liter bioreactor, we got 27 grams of protein as opposed to 3 grams of proteins in a 50-liter reactor. And this is just the reproducibility showing the RP-HPLC profile with a 3DS manufactured from GMP. So the impact on this multi-specific non-MAB molecule was that we got 27 grams of highly purified protein from a 20-liter process. We developed the entire process and did the GMP transfer within 6 months, batch-to-batch consistency and scalability from bench to commercial. And it yielded more than 500,000 doses of drug product in a 20-liter batch. This works very well in MABs. This is just one of the examples where we have converted the existing fed batch process into FCCM. You can see that the VCC goes up again here up to 65 million cells per mil, and it results into volumetric productivity increase of 10-fold. So 5 grams per liter in a fed batch to 46 grams per liter in FCCM. This is another example of already commercially marketed product with a fed batch. We converted that into perfusion. Again, the VCC goes up because it's perfusion, and then we are getting 10-fold increase in the cumulative productivity. We always get a question of how about the cost, operating costs, because you're doing perfusion, the media costs are very high. And yes, the operating cost does go up in terms of material costs as well as the overhead costs. However, this entire cost is offset because of the productivity increase. So you get 10-fold productivity increase, and in this case, we got 80% reduction in the cost of manufacturing. This is the best case scenario, but on an average, we get around 50 to 60% reduction in the COGS compared to the fed batch. So this is an actual picture of our GMP suite. You can appreciate that it is only 1500 square feet area, which is around 150 square meter. We are able to get 15 kilograms per month with a cost of manufacturing somewhere around $90 per gram. This is with NZnext 1.0. NZnext 2.0 we have upgraded with even higher productivity. So what are the technology enablers to do that? So what we have done is we have used advanced cell line engineering, and with this approach we have been able to get titers of 7 to 10 grams per liter with a QP of more than 30. The viability maintains over 90% more than 30 days and controlled metabolites. Using this cell line, we have been able to achieve 60 grams per liter volumetric productivity in a MAB, and with a target yield of 40 kilograms per month in a 1000 liter FCCM batch, right? Which essentially translates into production cost of $40 per gram. Another unique thing about this FCCM is that you don't necessarily have to scale up every single time, right? If you are at, say, 1000 liter bioreactor capacity or bioreactor size, you can always scale on. So what I mean by that is that you can have the process till 20 days and you can always extend it up to 35 days, 36 days, like that. So you can just increase the duration of the batch. And this is what we have done here. You can always scale up. So this is the scale up data. We have been able to establish the scale up between 2 liters all the way up to 1000 liters. That is our current commercial manufacturing scale. Or you can scale out. And what I mean by that is because the footprint is so small for the suite, it is 150 square meter, you can increase the capacity on demand. So essentially you can just keep adding suites based on your requirements. You don't have to do scale up. You don't have to do scale on, none of that. You can just add the capacity, which allows for parallel processing in multiple suites, enhances throughput and flexibility, and ensures consistent product quality. So the impact because of this technology in action, we have already launched 3 MABs biosimilars in India using this FCCM process, biosimilar adalimumab, bevacizumab, and cetuximab. And now we are bringing this technology to US. We want to democratize the local CDMO access for innovative therapies in the US. Our plant is coming up in Hopewell, New Jersey. It's a brownfield development, 80,000 square feet, and it will be fully functional by Q3 of 2025. So essentially with FCCM, we will be able to bring increased productivity at least 10-fold, reduce the COGS, cost of manufacturing by 50%. It works for MABs, non-MABs. It is very, very flexible. You can scale on, scale up, or scale out. But the most important is reduce carbon emission. We have been able to reduce the carbon emission by up to 50%. So as far as Enzene's regulatory journey goes, we were inspected by EMA for QP audit. We cleared it in August of 24. We have been EMA certified in February of 2025, and US FDA inspection is expected in October of 2025. This is all for our India site. And for our US site, we are expecting the USDA and US FDA inspection both in Q1 of 2026. So thank you. If you have any questions, be happy to answer. And if you want to discuss in detail, please visit our booth at 2545 in Hall C.
Great presentation. I'm Vijay from Amicus Therapeutics in New Jersey. I was wondering about your Hopewell facility. Can you highlight a little bit more around the commercial capacity or the volume of the bioreactors that you're setting up there?
So, thanks for the question. So, our current available bioreactor size is 200 liters and 500 liters, and we will be scaling up very soon in the phase 2 to 2000 liters. But then this is FCCM. If required, we can also do a fed batch.